Those of you who were dialed in at least a little bit to my channel last night, you know that I posted maybe a half hour before the new year hit. And at the end of that message, it was pretty much just a simple message of telling everyone, thanking everyone for, just being a part of the growth of this channel. But at the end of that message, there was a more important one. And that message was pretty much to be safe, right? And I remember, last night, my wife took our kid to hang out with her girlfriends, okay? And they all got together. They all rented a hotel room and that had a nice pool for the kids. And it was just a whole, it was just a thing for the kids to get together and bring in the new year, having some fun and, with a pool party. And so I didn't go, right? She asked me, what are you going to do while we're gone? And I said, me and the fellas, we're probably gonna hang out. We're probably gonna do a live stream, and probably gonna toast on the live stream. And she said, well, why don't y'all just meet up? Why don't y'all just do it face to face? Why don't y'all meet up and hang out? And I said, I don't really feel like that's the safest thing to do these days. Just why not just do it from the comfort of our own homes, where we're all safe and sound. And man, I had no idea that literally around the corner from that remark that I made to my wife that we will be talking about some maniac who drove into a crowd of people who are trying to bring in the new year in a celebratory manner and just mowing a ton of people down. And this is probably one of the saddest events in the history of this country, and for it to happen on a day that is supposed to be, for a lot of people, the start to a new year and a new beginning for a lot of people, it's just troubling, deeply troubling. And I think that we're obviously, y'all saw the other video where we talked about the Cybertruck blowing up. It's just more of that. It's just more of the same. And unfortunately, in going forward in 2025, we are going to see a lot more of it. That's just where I think we are. I think this started off with the the United Healthcare CEO assassination. It started there, and then people took that radical moment and they started getting these ideas in their head like, you know what, I'm going to make a public statement too. And so, we're going to get into this a little bit, but we know what it is, those of us with a brain. But let's see what they have to say, and let's see what has happened, because the death toll that they have reported here, obviously this was earlier, that death toll has risen. But let's get into it.
I want to bring in former NYPD Detective Sergeant Felipe Rodriguez, who's an adjunct professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. Good morning. Thanks so much for joining us. First off, your reaction to what's unfolding right now in New Orleans.
Once again, we're seeing, these terrorist acts, whether they labeled it at this time or not, due to the, huge amount of deaths that we have here. And now we also might have secondary explosives or, something else that could have been plotted. At this time, they're not giving any information whether the individual was arrested. It might be because, it might be some sort of sleeper cell, something related to terrorism, and we want to tip our hand at this time.
Problems. If you're still with us, I want to ask a little bit about, police prepare for this. New Year's morning, every major city's police department in the country is prepared for the possibility of an incident like this on New Year's. How do police departments, like the New Orleans Police Department, prepare for an incident like this?
Well, one of the statements they made, they said that, we did have full staffing at 100%, but in reality, every department is short. So while we say every officer could have been working that night, that doesn't mean that they had enough individuals to cover all the areas. And they themselves said that they had to bring additional officers from other departments to help supplement them. So that might be something we might have to look at. Even NYPD at this time is suffering with over 7,000 officers less than they should have. The other thing is, the implementation of blocker vehicles. In New York, we use our own patrol cars to make sure that we safeguard the intersections, and at times we bring in large sand trucks from the sanitation department. So we do try to prevent or mitigate a situation like this.
Can you talk about the scope of protecting an event like this when we're talking about tens of thousands of people out on the streets in a large area? How do police departments prepare for something of this scope, covering such a wide area and so many people?
It is. I've been down to New Orleans, and I can tell you, it is a massive task. And it's just making sure that we have the resources, the amount of officers, and something like this is a mass casualty incident. So what happens is, you know what, EMS could become overwhelmed, the police officers could become overwhelmed due to the fact that you're trying to control a huge crowd at the same time while rendering aid, while trying to capture an individual that's committing the act. So as you can see, it's just a lot to take in at one time. And, sometimes some things can't be prevented.
I want to mention that according.
Yeah, I'm gonna pause it there. They're having some type of technical difficulties with the audio, but listen, there's no way, right? There's no way as a police officer that you are prepared for something like this. I mean, you can prepare as much as possible for some type of attack, quote unquote, right? I'm pretty sure they have training for that, and they prep their officers for, to be on the lookout for certain things. But there's no way that you think that somebody's going to take a pickup truck, which I believe was rented from Turo, and then proceed to use it to plow through an entire crowd of people, right? There's really no way. The only way to prevent that from happening is for you just to not have public events at all. Honestly, that's the only way. And so, I do want to get into a little bit of the article because, as I said before, they reported a death toll of 10 and said that 30 people had been injured. But since then, that death toll has risen. It says at least 15 killed on Bourbon Street in New Orleans after driver intentionally slams truck into crowd, dozens injured. And, I know a lot of people like to travel for the holiday, for the New Year's. They want to bring in the New Year's in a new place, in a new, somewhere that's unfamiliar, somewhere that's fun. And Bourbon Street, we all know, is one of the most popular tourist destinations of all time in our country. But let's get into this article a little bit. He says a man intentionally drove a pickup truck into a crowd of revelers on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, French Quarter, early on New Year's Day, killing at least 15 people now and injuring dozens of others. The attack is being investigated as an act of terrorism, the Federal Bureau of Investigation has said. That's the FBI. The man driving the vehicle has been identified as Shamsa Din Jabbar, 42, a U.S. citizen from Texas. But that name says a lot. That name right there says a lot. I'm going to see if I can bring this up. I want to know if they got a picture of this guy yet. The FBI Special Agent Alethea Duncan said in a news conference on Wednesday afternoon that a black ISIS flag had been flying from the truck's rear bumper. The vehicle was an electric Ford pickup truck and appears to have been rented. As you all know, I just said, from Turo. Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said on social media, Jabbar rented the truck on December 30th while living in the Houston area before heading to New Orleans. So there's no question of whether or not this was, they got his picture right here. There's no question of whether or not this was a pre-planned attack or not, right? There's no question at this point. Duncan said investigators do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible for the attack, and the FBI believes he may have had help carrying it out. Duncan said the FBI is looking at a range of suspects and does not want to rule anything out at this stage of the investigation. The FBI is also working to determine the man's potential affiliations or associations with terrorist associations. That's him right here. There it is. Shamsa Din Jabbar. So again, I want y'all to be cautious and safe. We got demons walking around on this planet with us, unfortunately. Says a person familiar with the investigation told CBS News that at this point, neither ISIS nor any other foreign terror organization has claimed responsibility for the attack. The man drove around barricades and up onto the sidewalk of Bourbon Street. New Orleans Police Department Superintendent Ann Kilpatrick said, avoiding barriers that had been placed by police. She said the man was trying to run over as many people as he could. We had a car there, we had barriers there, we had officers there, and he still got around them. The man then exited the car and opened fire on officers, the FBI official said. He died after exchanging gunfire with 3 responding officers, the FBI said. He was struck by police fire and declared dead at the scene. The 2 police officers were hit by gunfire but were in stable condition. Weapons and 2 potential improvised explosive devices were located in the vehicle. At least one other IED was found in the French Quarter and was detonated by law enforcement. A person familiar with this investigation is reporting all this information. The number of IEDs left behind is a large part of why the FBI believes the man may have had an accomplice. Further sweeps by law enforcement did not find any more IEDs. Kilpatrick said police walked the area as a grid looking for any suspicious items. And they're asking for anybody who knows anything to contact them, of course. But listen, it's just a really unfortunate. It makes you not want to go anywhere. The incidences like this, they really make you. It really turns you into a hermit, you know. And it really, we get stuff like this happening. Of course, not to this extent, but we get stuff like this happening more and more. You know, y'all know I stay in Detroit for the most part, in Michigan, and technically not Detroit anymore. I moved from there, but I still get cases that I come across my timeline every single day with things that are happening in public, and people, innocent bystanders, are being taken off the grid and off the map as a result of it. And so, listen, it's making me not even want to be a part of the outside world anymore at this point, because as I had no idea that when I sent that post up and posted it to the community tab, and at the end of it I said the world is going mad, and I had no idea that this was going to follow those words. But I just know the state that people are in right now, and it's insane. More information on the way, I'm sure, as the days go, for both of these cases, this one as well as the Tesla Cybertruck incident with Trump Tower. Stay tuned to the channel. We'll cover it. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I would like to know you all's thoughts down in the comments, and let me know your mental stability, how you are, and what you think about the year 2025 getting started, and how you see this turning out in the long run. I'd like to hear from you all. So, like I said, we'll stay posted, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.